Welcome back to Morning at NTV, and thank you for staying with us. My name is Romeo Busiku. Our next conversation, we are going to be talking about the local government performance. Now, local government decisions affect thousands of citizens. However, they are rarely held accountable. Why? In rural areas, for example, even the bad roads are blamed on the central government and members of parliament. However, there has been an ongoing effort to ensure accountability at this lower level. We are talking about the local government level. The overall goal of the Advocates Coalition on Development and Environment Scorecard project is to deepen the demand side of democracy by ensuring the effectiveness of citizens to demand political accountability and effective service delivery, while enhancing capacity of civil society councils, organizations to act as mediators between citizens and local government councils to improve service delivery. The project is also expected to enhance capacity of government to respond to citizens' demands at local and central government levels. To tell us more about this, I have Arthur Bainomigisha, the Executive Director of the Advocates Coalition on Development and the Environment. A very good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, my brother.
We are desisting from the handshakes. The coronavirus is upon us and it's becoming serious.
Yes.
So we do this. How are you doing this morning?
Very fine. Thank you for having me here.
So we are talking about the 8th edition
Yes.
of the scorecard. So first of all, tell us about the local government council's scorecard initiative.
Yeah, thank you very much. The Local Government Council Scorecard Initiative was initiated in around 2009 by the Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment in partnership with Uganda Local Government Association. Basically to respond to some of the development needs, especially in service delivery. While Uganda, as the country, had introduced decentralization in 1992, and decentralization had achieved a lot of dividends in terms of improving service delivery, education, roads, health care. But by 2009, we had realized that there was some deficiencies in terms of decentralization delivering on its mandate, and so we designed this initiative to contribute to government's effort of devolving responsibility, because decentralization devolved power, devolved resources, and of course decision making to the lower levels. But by that time, we had realized that while, for example, education had achieved a lot, UPE pupils had enrolled, but there was no the completion rate. The quality had also reduced, but also the quality of roads, the primary health care, so many health centers in place, but most of them not very functional, drug stockouts, rude health workers. So this initiative was designed basically to strengthen local governments to be able to execute their mandate, especially in monitoring service delivery, but also local governments making sure that actually they work with communities to give the best of services to our citizens. But also realize that citizens were disengaged. Our citizens did not know their rights, duties, and obligations as citizens, and as such, they were not demanding quality service delivery. So the whole design of this initiative is designed that we monitor the performance of local government councils and the individual councillors and the speakers, and communicate their performance to the people who elect them, and those are the citizens. In so doing, we build the capacity of citizens to demand quality services, but they also build capacity of citizens to perform their expected duties as citizens. For example, do they send children to school? Do they buy them uniform? Do they do their expected citizen roles? So that, and the whole thing was that if you have empowered strong local governments, then can also demand better performance also from the center. So we talk about horizontal accountability and vertical accountability, and then the wheel of democracy then can move. And that's why we are talking about the two sides of democracy: the supply side, which is government, and the demand side. So we empower the supply side, especially building capacity of local governments, but also empower the demand side, which is the citizenry, so that as they demand, local governments are in a position also to supply. And so the whole chain now moves. So you have empowered citizenry, have empowered the local governments, and service delivery is improved, and then development of this country. And we also realize that democracy is possible because government took a bold decision to introduce decentralization, building democracy from below. So unless you build the capacity of citizens to be able to demand, and demand rightfully, then democracy may not take hold. Yeah.
Is decentralization more effective than the federal system of governance?
No, decentralization, I think, in our case, was well crafted, well designed to respond to a country that was conflict prone. Because Uganda was a conflict prone country because of the concentration of power at the center. But with decentralization, and ours actually was deep in decentralization, devolution, which involved taking power close to the people, taking resources, so that the majority of our people now can participate in decision making. So that way it reduced the concentration of power at the center, it broadened participation, and therefore broke the conflict trap that this country had been trapped into. And so I think in our case, and again, you know, it was like the first successful example of decentralization. In any case, around from because it started in 89, the whole process, the whole journey starts around 87, then 92 when the policy is formulated. Then Uganda became like a maker. It became a political maker. Most countries coming here to learn about how decentralization is being implemented in Uganda. And so this country achieved quite a lot. But of course, over time, there was a need to deepen this decentralization. There was some retardation, there was some stagnation, some remarkable reversals. Of course, as the government realized some of the challenges, I can tell you some of the challenges. For example, corruption, of course, was also decentralized. Then there was also like tribalism. For example, some districts refusing to recruit. So to recruit some of the people waiting for their sons and daughters to finish universities, and so they can recruit them. Now that is tribalism. We don't build the country by recruiting the sons and daughters of the soil. So those are some of the challenges. But also realize monitoring of service delivery, because some of the because the Local Government Act is silent on qualification. And so you had the local government councils now full of people who are not very well versed with like the policies, the constitution, the budget, which are very technical. But yet they are supposed to provide oversight over technical staff who are very qualified. So you found that most of the councillors did not understand their functions, their roles, and obligations. And so it was important to induct them. So what this project does, beyond assessing their performance, it's not a name and shame project. Then when we go and find out some of the weaknesses and the challenges which come from lack of understanding of these functions, then we build capacity. And you find that the scorecard, for example, that we use to assess is a tool. It's a capacity building tool. And so when we have assessed a local government, for example, after 2-3 years, they become very efficient. They become service delivery improves. And as such, actually, we are so overwhelmed by requests from other districts. We are in 35 districts now around the country. And we want to appreciate DGF, the Democratic Governance Facility, that has provided the resources since 2009. And the Hewlett Foundation has also come to support, to complement this. So it's an expensive endeavor, but we don't regret. And actually tomorrow, you will realize that after almost 10 years of doing this, some of the best performing districts actually are those districts where we have been working. And what we've done, you know, the government also has an assessment. It's carried out by the Office of the Prime Minister. If you look at the results of this in this report, they almost correspond or tally. They agree with the results of the Office of the Prime Minister, and it shows that where we have been, these districts are doing well, they are performing well, but they are not only performing well in terms of the points, but actually it corresponds with the quality of service delivery on the ground. And in so doing, then we complement the development of this country. We are under pressure to develop this country.
We are under pressure to develop the country. Yes, but then there's an issue. Should we give these districts more power or autonomy to make their own decisions? Because experts contend that decentralization will allow a district to make the decision, but still they would first confer with the central government to make those decisions a reality. Not so. But under a federal system of governance, these districts would have full autonomy to make the decisions and implement them there and then, doing away with the bureaucratic mechanisms that make all these processes very long, hence pulling us back when it comes to development.
Now, decentralization, I think why decentralization fits well with a country like Uganda. First of all, we're a small country. You know, federalism works well with very huge countries. You
Like
know,
the United States.
Like the United States, where you have a state like California, like New York, has a GDP of almost of the whole of Africa, has many people. It's like a country. But this is a small country, and so decentralization fits in very well. But also, what decentralization has done, it has also developed some powers and responsibilities to the districts. For example, the local government councils are our small parliaments. They deliberate. They have elected officials. They also they pass bylaws. They also discuss the budget and pass the budget. They pass their policies, and so it's a mini parliament. In fact, it's a training ground for people who want to go up to parliament. So looking at the size of the country, at our GDP, so decentralization fits in well in a sense that we are small, but also provides that opportunity for very many Ugandans to participate in decision making.
Thank you for putting that into perspective very well. You did well. Mr. Bainom Gisha, why is the Advocates Coalition on Development and Environment so focused on the functioning of the local government?
Yeah, it's because ACCORD is a public policy research think tank. We're based in Uganda, but working in Eastern and Southern Africa. Yes. We are a regional think tank. And at our core, we see ourselves as a pro-democracy think tank. And so, this decentralization actually is an endeavor to democratize this country. And so our job is actually to make a contribution in consolidating democracy by implementing this project. And let me assure you that this project has not only been good in this country, it has been exported to other countries. We have a request from South Sudan, a request from Kenya, planted it in Botswana, Sierra Leone. They are looking at Uganda, and actually they are sending they have sent their teams here to study this. So for countries that have chosen the path of democracy, and democracy really it is a panacea that can actually trigger socio-economic transformation of any country, deal away with endemic conflicts. It is the path we have chosen. So we've chosen this initiative to make a contribution to consolidation of democracy. But democracy is better consolidated when it emerges from below, not from the center. So, you know, building a base, so a base from below and then consolidating topwards. So we think that at the end of the day, Uganda actually would be a consolidated democracy and can export to the rest of the African countries this democracy that we've embraced.
Amazing. And this is the 8th Local Government Council's Scorecard report. What has been the response of the stakeholders to the previous reports?
Let me say this. One, I want to appreciate the local leaders that have accepted to be assessed, because this is most people don't want to do an exam. A student even doesn't, we fear exams. But these leaders have accepted to be assessed and given and ranked, because actually we rank the performance. And this is the 8th scorecard. Sometimes it has an impact on on the elections, but the good news is that we first train people. As I said, so not a name and shame. We train them and then we assess them. And because we have built capacity, most people perform well. And because they perform well, or they have they can explain why they have performed badly because they are new. So subsequently, when they perform better, people have been elected because of this scorecard. There are people actually who have gone on unopposed because they performed well in this scorecard. But it is important for countries that have chosen the path of democracy. If you are a leader and you have decided to serve your people, then you need to undergo this one. Because leadership is not just a bed of roses. It is a big responsibility. So I want to salute the leaders that have accepted to be assessed for now almost 10 years. And those leaders that have been assessed have become the best performing leaders. And actually their advice you will be seeing actually tomorrow when we launch it at Hotel Africana. They're going to be giving advice to other leaders to accept and embrace. The challenge actually is financing. If we had the necessary financing, we would actually now spread this across all the 132 districts in this country.
How has finance incapacitated your operations?
It's a bit expensive. So you need to train researchers. So
even the researchers have to be trained.
We train researchers because
Amazing.
because you see, producing this report, it is very empirical, because without evidence-based report, people actually can trash it. It's a report that has very limited margin of error, would have been thrown out in most districts, but they never find an error. So we train a group of researchers. We have a whole verification exercise that makes sure that the points that you get are your points, and as such, it is very empirical, it is evident. And actually, Accord has been ranked as the #1 think tank in this country and one of the top think tanks in the world. And this scorecard is one of those publications that are assessed and found to be one of the best publications in the world.
Now,
And
the
that's,
viewer who is watching at home right there would like to know what will come out of the Local Government Council's scorecard launch.
the launch tomorrow, I don't want to preempt the, what is there, but it will be launched by the Minister of Local Government.
Let's give them a reason.
It will be launched by the Minister of Local Government, and we have all the leaders from 35 districts. We have also leaders from different ministries. We have we have ambassadors who support us, and they would want you to watch and see how your district chairperson, how your councillor, how your speaker has performed, but also we can respond to certain requests even if you are not part of this. So of the 35, we respond actually, especially to conflicts in some of the districts. Accord responds and help to resolve some of the conflicts. So it is important that you watch this and be able to even support it. If we have the resources, actually we are going to expand perhaps to 50 to 100 and cover the whole country with the funding.
What kind of substance and information should they expect?
What kind of substance?
Substance, majorly the topics that you're going to be discussing on that day.
Tomorrow we'll be looking at the performance, especially. The scorecard has a number of parameters. For example, did the chairman attract funding to his district?
I like that.
Did the chairman or the councillors monitor service delivery? Did they report to the council? Did they participate in the budget so that the budget can respond to the needs of their people? Because there's that whole budget participation and then budget monitoring. Did they participate? Then we'll also be looking at the quality of services in the country. Have they improved because of this scorecard, or they are stagnating? And we also make recommendations because after the findings, we will make recommendations for reform, and I can assure you some of the recommendations have been taken seriously. For example, the Ministry of Finance, some of the recommendations, the Ministry of Finance, because we have a partnership with the local government, the Ministry of Local Government, Uganda Local Government Association, and also the Ministry of Finance. And some of the findings, for example, inadequate financing, have been taken up by the Ministry of Financing, Ministry of Finance, so that actually enough money can be actually released to the local governments to be able to effectively to respond to their mandate.
As we wrap up, in your opinion, how best can we streamline the functions of the local government so that they can improve service delivery to the citizens?
I think the government, in its wisdom, has now found it to actually to upscale the Ministry of Local Government to now a sector. So now we have the local government sector, and they now negotiate funding, and I think that the local governments are going to get reasonable financing, and once they have reasonable financing, then they will be able to execute mandate, because remember, most of the citizens actually live and reside in the local governments.
Amazing.
So yeah, so I'm looking at improved financing, and then improved service delivery, and then of course better serviced citizenry.
Dr. Arthur Bainomgisha, he's the Executive Director of the Advocates Coalition on Democracy, that is Advocates Coalition on Development and Environment. He's the Executive Director, and he's been so kind to come to the show to explain to us what will be happening tomorrow as they actually assess the various local governments and how they've been doing for the last couple of months right there, or years. Thank you for coming. You've been made...
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you for coming. Elbow. Right about now, we are going to take a very, very short break, and we'll be right back with a lot more. Please do not move a muscle. This is Morning at NTV.